So in today's show, we're going to have a look at if the Fed just crushed all of crypto and stock markets' hopes of a recovery. Smash the like button, hit the bell notification. Let's get straight into the show content. Stocks did plummet yesterday, and this was during the Jerome Powell speech. We spoke about this. We said that ultimately you're going to be looking at a little bit of a pump into the event. And in typical crypto fashion and degen fashion, that's exactly what happened, right? Moving straight onto the bid side, pumping prices up into the event. And then, of course, Jerome Powell came out very, very soon afterwards and basically said, when asked the question directly, if the Fed will intervene if the stock market continues to plummet, he basically said no, with an explanation exactly saying why. And he basically said that the market's functioning as it should, even if there are many, many uncertainties. So I think the Fed are definitely caught between a rock and a hard place. Of course, this drastically increases the odds that they're not going to be doing anything in terms of an interest rate cut. And I think many people were holding on to the hopes that the Fed were going to come out in some sort of an emergency cut, right? During this meeting, that they were going to say that. I knew that was exactly what's going to happen. And consequently, we did see prices come down within the stock market. Gold obviously continuing to push towards the upside as the true risk-off asset, right? Basically the hedge against uncertainty over there. So there's your stock market. Stock market came down, but at least leading into the close, there was a little bit of a push towards the upside, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done over here. If we do have a look as well at the QQQ, it pretty much looks the same. And basically you can summarize it as this. It's very similar to what we said yesterday. The question is this a rejection off of that 50% level over there where you're going to continue towards the downside to make new lows? Or is this simply just a choppy range? Since markets spend more time chopping than they do trending, so more time ranging than trending, the chances are it's probably going to be a continued choppy environment over here. And you could come back down towards those lows. Crypto has actually held up pretty well. We have to give it to that. But the question is, can it maintain that bid, right? We'll look into that. Let's quickly finish off over here. NVIDIA also coming down over there. Tesla not looking so good. Also coming down quite significantly. We have Coinbase still attempting to buck that downtrend, right? So it is still a downtrend. The stock market is in fear, sitting at 14 on the fear and greed index, whereas you have crypto sitting at 30. And the reason why is because crypto has somewhat held up. It's pretty unbelievable. But oftentimes when crypto does seem like it's decorrelating, it's usually a delayed fashion and then leads into a dump. So crypto playing a bit of a different game over there. And you have people like 𝗪𝗏𝗄, very, very bullish on crypto and Bitcoin specifically, coming out and saying NVIDIA and AMD are down 10%, PLTR and Tesla down 8%, QQQ or the Nasdaq down 4%, leading BTC miners are down less than 2%, BTC and MicroStrategy are down less than 1%, and he says TradFi is crashing and Bitcoin is stable. I think it's a little bit too soon to call for that, but it is noteworthy. I think it's something to pay attention to, as you did see, of course, the stock market coming down, Bitcoin still holding up within those key levels. And I think that for those who are looking for the decorrelation trade, this is probably a good chart to focus on. Post over here by Han Solo, right? It says, for all the BTC will follow gold narrative followers, which means that you think that Bitcoin is gold 2.0 and ultimately it's going to Bitcoin is going to catch up to gold, playing out a move into all-time highs, then this may be a chart that you have to look at, right? Every time we look at the gold to S&P 500 ratio, so gold measured against the S&P 500, and we see that it has a strong rally, what typically happens is Bitcoin against the stock market has months of underperformance, which means basically you're taking on more risk by going long on crypto or Bitcoin versus simply just holding the S&P 500 or gold, right? So that is a chart to look at. It's going to take time for decorrelation to actually play out, right? So you say that crypto is inversely correlated to the stock market. That, of course, is not the case, right? That's not the case over there. So Bitcoin still struggling over here at this key level, but it is attempting to break out. And it all depends on how these closing candles essentially close, right? How do we close out the day? Because every single day has been met with a price move towards the upside, looking like it's going to break out, followed only to be slammed towards the downside. And you can imagine if we do take out yesterday's low, that's going to start to look really bad for Bitcoin. And it's going to start to look like this is ultimately going to roll over, right? And that's where you get that delayed move where crypto basically holds up stubbornly against the stock market, only later to fall through in the same way that the stock market has, right? So basically caught right at that inflection point. We got a triple resistance over there. We got resistance with the 50 moving average, the 200 moving average, which has given that death cross. And we have the horizontal level over here, which you're currently contending with to get above. So 3 levels of resistance. Remember, buy support, sell resistance. You're waiting for price to break out and hold over here. If you can break out and hold, that opens up a very, very favorable trade where you can start to trade up towards $90,000 to $95,000, right? Those are the levels that we're looking at. So that is Bitcoin on the daily. You can see as long as Bitcoin does remain above 82,000, call it 83, let's just round it up, $83,000, not only will you maintain above yesterday's low, you also maintain above the RSI pivot level, which means that yellow line over there means the RSI on the daily will continue to trend towards the upside. The reasons that you have to look to that is because if the RSI on the daily keeps moving towards the upside and Bitcoin can close anywhere here or higher this week, that means that the RSI on the weekly will, for the first time in this downtrend, have broken that downtrend. And that's a good sign, right? Then you can start to drastically favor the odds that the bulls are going to attempt to take over here and possibly reverse the trend. But the trend is still very much towards the downside. You do also have your 9 and your 18 exponential moving average attempting to cross. But you have to take these crosses with a pinch of salt because we are in a choppy environment the same way, or in the same sense that you're seeing the stock market also chopping about between these 2 key levels, right? So here's your stock market range, 4,800 up to the 50% level at 5,500, right? So that's giving you a pretty broad range. I mean, stock market moves, that's huge swings, 15% in either direction, right? So that's what you need to see from the bulls, right? You need to see a reclaim of some of these key levels. If you have a look over here at the total liquidations, well, they're relatively low, $250 million, right? Around that 250 million mark. Both longs and shorts constantly getting chopped out and wrecked over there. So eventually, if we do see a real breakout, you should probably see some massive short liquidations take place in the region of 750 million to $1 billion or more. And if you do get that, that's a good sign that the trend is beginning to shift. But as it currently stands, you know, we in a limbo mode, right? Very, very boring market. Price coming down, 7-day daily exchange volume also moving towards the downside. Price cap below all the high volume regions over here. We want to be able to reduce this level down to there, but we can't do it yet, right? We need confirmation of what's happening over here, and we'll probably wait a couple more days to get that. I think that each and every day that you grind into this is creating a more and more interesting picture that you're going to see a very big move in either direction, right? So liquidity is still building overhead, $40 million worth of liquidity, but I think a lot of longs stepped into the market yesterday because if you do look on the 24-hour scale over here, well, you can see now for the first time, we're starting to build up those long traders stop losses underneath. So probably both longs and shorts will be wrecked, possibly with a spike into that 86K level, met with a swing failure pattern, and then you're going to come down for the low liquidity. So that is currently the picture. We did provide in Whale Room, I dropped this yesterday, the possibility for the long trade setup over here while Bitcoin was hovering around that $83,000 region. And we spoke about looking for the deviation around the monthly open and reclaiming the Monday low. And therefore, you can trade this back to the Monday high. And if you can break out and hold above the Monday high, closing multiple candles over there, it opens up the trade opportunity to squeeze up to $90,000 and thereafter to $93,000 at the yearly open. And this is going to be a similar setup across multiple different coins within the market. So if you do want the inside scoop, remember, jump into Whale Room. I drop voice notes updating you guys on the daily, and there is a great opportunity for you over there as well. You can see we've had a lot of reviews over here, 4.75 stars. So if you do want to jump in, there is going to be an Easter promotion, right? So look out for that. Don't join yet. Wait for the Easter promotion. It's going to be coming out tomorrow. If you were thinking of joining, just wait tomorrow. You're going to be able to save a whole bunch on joining into Whale Room. So currently we're getting that move, right? There it is. This is essentially what we mapped out. If we can start to take out this high over here, which was yesterday's wick high, 85,535, that will increase the chances that we can start to reclaim the Monday high as well as the previous month's mid-range, and holding above that level breaks you out of this low time frame tight trading range, and then we can start to squeeze towards the upside over there, right? So I spoke about the importance of looking for both the long and the short trade. Initially, we looked for the short trade over there. Then we looked for the long trade over here. And the reason that we do that is because now you can eliminate your risk by moving your stops into break even on both sides of the trade. And that allows for when the next big move happens, whether it's towards the upside or whether it's towards the downside, you're in a perfect position where you're going to trade it both ways. One will stop out and the other one will print. So we're still waiting for that to take place, right? There are other opportunities as well. For example, if you look at Ethereum, Ethereum is already starting to reclaim the Monday low. So if we can start to close multiple candles over here, it's exactly the same thing, right? You got your deviation, you came into the gray box over here, which was your demand area, and then you can start to trade this back up towards, I'm not sure it's going to make it as high as the yearly open, but you can at least trade this up if it breaks through this region over here into the yellow box at about 1800 is going to be massive overhead supply. That's probably going to be selling pressure. That's your order block that led into the downward move for Ethereum, right? So keeping an eye out on that, that's something to watch. But I think while you are trying to take all of these trades, again, one of the most important charts to look at is going to continue to be this chart over here. USDT dominance, which constantly grinds into the support level. Usually when you grind into support, it ultimately leads into a breakdown. The same is true when you grind into resistance, right? The downsloping trend line leads into big breakouts. So these two charts are essentially inverse to one another. Bitcoin and USDT dominance are inverse to one another. Keep a close eye out on these. Sometimes you see a little bit more of a move first in the one versus the other, because remember, USDT dominance is the entire cryptocurrency dominant market cap for these stable coins, right? So sometimes you'll see this breakdown first, or sometimes you'll see it pump up first, while Bitcoin is still not doing anything because there's money flowing in and out of the rest of the coins at the same time. So it can give you an early lead as to what happens next. Now, of course, you're starting to close multiple candles below that consolidation over here, the little order block that led to that first move towards the upside. You have consolidated underneath there, but you'll need to see a proper breakdown over there to create that squeeze up to $90,000 to $95,000. So keeping an eye out over here, we've seen that a lot of these lows have started to form around all of the negative funding over here. So when market participants are starting to look for short trades, as you can see over here, they're looking for short trades. That's why the funding is going negative over there. That's where you have found a lot of your bottoms, right? A lot of the bottoms have been formed over there, or at least holding the range lows. And we've recently just printed that just a couple of hours ago, right? You started to see exactly the same thing over there, which is why I opened up the possibility as dropped over here in Whale Room for that squeeze towards the upside. Okay. A lot of traders doing very, very well in Whale Room. Well done. Congratulations to everybody. We don't only show the wins, but there are some losses, right? There are some losses over there, but much more wins than losses, which is the good thing, right? So Bitcoin dominance continues to grind up. It is coming into a very interesting intersection as well. You can see this pivot level taken from that wick to that wick over there, and you're now coming back into that zone over there. So I will be paying attention to this, but in order to shift this trend towards the downside, really what you need to see is you need to see a break of structure, price breaking below some of these previous high lows, as well as the 9 and 18 ultimately rolling over and crossing towards the downside. So basically, I don't think that it's time to start to bid altcoins. If that's what you're wondering, if you think now is the best time ever to gain mass exposure to altcoins, probably not. Continue to remain in a risk-off environment with capital preservation as the primary goal, protecting your capital, protecting your stables, and ultimately only looking for short trades like we're looking for over here, right? As per the range levels over there. Okay, continuing on over here. Another one, let's just quickly look at USDT dominance over here. So just seeing USDT dominance on the with the Monday range as well, you can see over here, as long as this maintains above the monthly open, you have to treat this chart as more bullish than not, which means you have to maintain that risk-off approach, right? If it does start to break underneath the Monday open, consolidating multiple candles below here, that could lead to the breakdown. So again, is this chart more bullish or more bearish? For now, I'd have to say this is still a little bit more bullish in the short term, putting in high lows and high highs, which makes it very risky to go super long on Bitcoin, right? Calculate your risk. Any of these trades that we are taking in Whale Room, we're doing with very low risk, around 0.5% to 1% risk on a trade like this. Okay, cool. Continuing on over here. ETH BTC continues to get crushed towards the downside. It is getting closer, but quite stubborn over here. We need to see at least another 15% move towards the downside. Remember, World Liberty Finance, well, they've been buying more, right? Crypto firm DWF with World Liberty Finance, Trump's World Liberty Finance token, have been purchasing more coins. ETH is obviously one of their biggest over there. But another one that they've been looking at is cie. So is cie a buy right now? At least according to this chart. And in my opinion, not yet. It has come into daily demand, right? This is a very, very key zone on the daily chart, daily demand. But remember, the most important thing to look at right now is going to be the trend, because the trend has been very aggressively towards the downside. So you want to see a shift in structure over here, and you'd want to break that, right? This is massive underside resistance. There it is. On, say, if you were thinking of following World Liberty Finance, then you would want to see a break above that, right? So possibly, you might come down over here. You got this little bit of an order block that led to the upside move. You might pull back into that 15-cent region over there and say, if it can hold that, this is where your high-low comes into play. I still wouldn't bid that because you're coming straight into resistance. But if this can break and hold above there, then there might be some more opportunity, right? 21 cents. Okay, cool. What else over here? Let me know in the comments if there is any other coins that you want to have a look at. And yeah, let's get into it. 𝗬, we can have a look at as well. Let's maybe go on to the other chart on 𝗬. I want to have a look at in terms of the range levels. Okay, let's go on to 𝗬 on the range levels over here. So 𝗬 also needs to get back above that Monday low over there. On the high time frame, it still looks okay, right? This is your high time frame, similar to, say, the possibility of putting in the high low as you do come into this low order block over here. So, of course, invalidations are very, very, very clear on any of these charts, right? Invalidations are below the major lows, right? You do have 𝗬 having come into a key level over here, right? This is major demand over here. So it is good for a bounce within the zone, but take on less risk because it's quite far away to the stop loss. What else have we got? Let me know in the comments. We can look at Solana. Okay, Solana also deviating, right? I wouldn't be surprised in the future to see if it does manage to hold this level. I wouldn't be surprised to see some kind of a inverse head and shoulders, where you have your left shoulder over there, you have your head over here, and then you're going to come up, maybe find resistance at the previous month's mid-range, come back down one more time towards the previous month's low, and put in a bit of a high low, which would be your right shoulder. So again, there isn't a rush if you are looking to get into altcoins. All you have to do is simply just wait, right? Wait to put in that high-low structure over there, and then reclaim some key levels. Okay. Cool. So ask yourself, did you gain a level or lose a level? Right now, you are attempting to gain a level in Solana. The level you're trying to gain is back into the demand zone over here, right? So you lost the demand zone. You don't want to flip that into resistance now. You want to regain the pink box. Okay, Fartcoin. Let's have a look. How's Fartcoin done? All right. Obviously, one that was absolutely pumping. Is it still moving up? It's doing well. It's doing good, right? It's consolidating above the green box, holding up over there. That is a good sign, at least for continued relief. I would look for a move up to probably towards this wick over here at about $1.25. And then after that, major resistance where I'd probably take all my profits would be $1.48 if you're currently long on this. It is creating another order block over here. It's holding up consolidation above a key level, which is reclaimed over here. Usually it does lead to continuation. So it's not bearish. It's actually one of the more bullish charts. Okay. Cool. Let's see, guys. If you do want to trade these things, by the way, if you want to trade any of these coins, remember, WEX is giving a massive bonus, especially if you have a sizable account. Deposit $50,000 and they'll give you $5,000 bonus, which you can use to trade with, right? So there is, everything is listed below in terms of who this is applicable to or not. Use the link in the description below if you do want to join over there. That is the welcome bonus. All right. Sonic. Let's have a look at Sonic. Okay. Where's that chart of ours? There we go. Sonic. So Phantom, now called Sonic, right? How's it doing? Holding up over here. Let's just clean this up a little bit over here. Let's clean everything up. Just remove some of this. So it had the bear flag. It's kind of invalidating that at the moment, but I wouldn't say that the that it's a risk-free trade to trade towards the upside. I would say that right now it's just ranging. That's it. Here's your range lows. Those are really the levels that you want to hold. It's as simple as that, right? In a low time frame range, we can go into the hourly. Okay, in terms of this, similar to the rest of the coins, look, you need to reclaim that Monday low. That's probably going to act as underside resistance. And then the next levels that you have to look to is a possible move down, right? Let's clean this up a little bit for you over here. You need to look for a possible move down into this inefficiency candle. So this is untested liquidity, right? Within that zone over there. Target that candle. Usually the mid-level of that candle, that's going to put it at about 43 to 44 cents for Sonic. All right. Cool. Let me know what else, guys. Anything else? Are there any coins in an uptrend? That is the question, right? You can always come over here to this section and we can have a look. I mean, Fartcoin is doing well on a monthly. This is one of the few coins. On the weekly, what's standing out? Also, pretty much Fartcoin, HNT. I mean, this won't be in an uptrend. You can just quickly look over here. Look at that. Straight down, right? So Helium, straight down. Radium, I'm sure, also a strong downtrend, straight down. Just a little bit of an upside move. I don't think that there's really anything that's in an uptrend, right? XCN. XCN, let's go over all time. Terrible chart. Another terrible chart. Straight down. Put in a relief. Probably the lower high. It's just going to bleed out. Bonk. How's Bonk doing? Also, terrible chart. Straight down. Hype. Hype might be one of the better charts. Still not great, but at least it's a little bit better, right? At least it's not straight down in one go. How's Curve doing? Okay, Curve. Also, terrible chart. I mean, if you're looking at it over a weekly, it is attempting to reaccumulate. It can put in a bit of a squeeze, but none of these charts are in perfect uptrends, that's for sure. Another thing that came out was base is for everyone. I don't know if you guys saw this. A lot of people complaining, launched instant rug over there, but it seems to be reaccumulating really nicely over here. Very high risk, of course, sitting at just around $15 million market cap. There you got it. Base is for everyone. Apparently, it was posted from Coinbase socials, and yeah, consequently getting a lot of hype. Most people don't even know about it. Most of these things end in absolute tears, but there it is. You heard it here first. If you're interested in it, there is your range high support area over there. It is floating up with high lows and high highs. At least in the short term. This only launched a couple of hours ago, right? So be very, very, very careful over there. That is for the gamblers at heart. Okay, let's see. We can look at AVAX. We can look at Hype. Let's go to Hype first. Let's see. Where's Hype? Hype. Here we go. Let's quickly have a look at Hype. How is Hype holding up? So let's move on to the daily. All right. So you can see your clean parallel channel towards the downside. Your upside is going to be capped over here. If it starts to move into that $20 region, that is where I'd expect some resistance to be found. And then again, similar to the rest, you'd be looking for that high-low structure, right? Possible inverse head and shoulders. So maybe you do something like that, come back down towards the previous month's low, inverse head and shoulders. If you simultaneously start to see somehow Bitcoin dominance begins to reverse, that's where these trades become power trades, right? There's no need to rush into any of these. You don't ever need to buy the bottom. AVAX, we looked at yesterday. We spoke about it. It's still in a downtrend. It still has a lot of work to do, just like the rest. Maybe, just maybe, you get something like that with a bit of a high-low structure. The inverse head and shoulders could do the trick to push you through these key levels, but really need to get above that orange line, 2362. All right, 2362. Okay, cool. A lot of work to do, guys, from the market. Still a lot of work to do. I don't think that there's any rush. The current environment that we're in, all you need to do is track the stock market, right? Crypto is essentially going to follow the stock market. I know despite people saying it's decoupled, it's too soon, right? We need weeks and weeks and weeks on end of outperformance from crypto to say that crypto has actually decoupled from the stock market. Most of the time, over 90% of the time, crypto typically lags the stock market. Now, crypto has absolutely held up because on this move down that the stock market had, realistically, that should have taken Bitcoin down to about $52,000 or at the minimum $70,000, right? We didn't even get there. Your main demand for crypto or Bitcoin is between that 60 and 70K region, right? So between the 60s and 70s, that is the key level. All right. So stay safe out there. Protect your capital. You know, to do really, really well, unless you're a low time frame trader that's on leverage, trading both the long and the short side. I expect most of you out here are probably spot traders. All you have to do is protect your capital, wait for, you know, smooth sailing, wait for better waters, which is going to be in the form of an uptrend. We're not at that point yet, right? Okay. Also, guys, stay protected, right? Get yourself a VPN, keep yourself safe from hackers, right? It's only $3.85 a month using the link below. They are one of the sponsors, partners of Vanta, 74% off. That is the only place that you're going to get such a big savings. Cool. Let me know if there's anything else. Let's go through a couple more. Let's do a couple more. Anything standing out over here? Let's just see in terms of volatility. Everything is pretty flat. Remember, it is an Easter weekend, which means that low volumes, right? Low volume creates trappy environments for the markets, and you need to be aware and careful of that. I assume that the stock market is probably going to be closed on Friday. So today might be the last day that the stock market is open, and then crypto is going to do its own thing. All right. Ondo. We can have a look at Ondo. Let's quickly see what Ondo is doing under the real world asset sector. Okay, still holding up on that trend line over there. But yeah, it's spending a lot of time around this region. If it was me personally, and I wanted a position on Ondo, I would honestly just wait for that. Okay, I'd wait for a move down into this zone over here. You'll get it. I'm pretty sure you're going to get a move down to just under 60 cents at some point. This is still a very powerful downtrend. Lower lows and lower highs. Okay, Popcat. Let's have a look at Popcat. Okay, Popcat. All right. This is going to load up. Okay, Popcat. I mean, yeah, it's terrible chart. It's ranging right now. Look, in order for this to play out like Fartcoin has, similar to what we said, I think literally yesterday, you need to reclaim the previous month's high, right? This is a big SR flip region. So this is your major resistance. If you can put in a big move like Fartcoin and then start to consolidate above there like that, that will start to look better for potential squeeze into the yearly open. But all of these charts are going to move in unison with Bitcoin. All you have to do is watch the stock market if you want to know what's going to happen to Bitcoin. And if you want to know what's going to happen to the altcoins, watch Bitcoin, right? For the most part, if Bitcoin goes up, these things will attempt to squeeze. When Bitcoin goes risk off, these things absolutely dump. How's Arweave doing? Absolutely terrible. Terrible, terrible chart. It's probably going to make new lows. I think this is probably just going to bleed straight through this level. Really, 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 really bad. I mean, do we want to call this a bear flag or is that too bearish, right? So you obviously got the bearish flag over there. It's already starting to break out. Measured move takes you down to $3. Okay. I mean, it can negate this. Chart patterns morph and change over time, right? But right now it meets the criteria of a bear flag. Alrighty, guys, that's it from me. Thank you all so much for joining. I will catch you all on the next one. Let's keep it a short and sweet stream, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Cheers for now.